Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk rant once again about Mandalay gem fragments and the new update. This is kind of going under the radar as the probably worst part of this update, the greediest thing that netmarble has done in a hot minute. Much greedier than the $70 Mystique pack, much greedier than making none of the characters, very free-to-play friendly. The Mandalay gem fragment situation is a problem now, and is going to become a much bigger problem in the future. And this is a really good example of what's going on. So that's what I want to talk about today, and I wanted to basically just re-explain why it's a really big problem, and what they could have done instead of this, and maybe some tips on how they can fix this in the future, because it's going to become, remember, basically, here's what it is. Remember, like, a year ago, when we couldn't get any CCF, and there was no Conqueror level, and people were complaining all the time about CCF? Yeah, Awakening Fragments. The only difference is right now we don't have a game mode that requires more of those strong characters like the Words of the Sky, Red Skull, and Dr. Octopus, and Mystique, those awakened characters. Eventually, it might take 6 months to a year for netmarble to get their shit together and actually give us that, new game mode if they revamp Timeline Battle, if they revamp, Alliance Conquest, and you need to use a lot of different characters. Right after the tier 3 characters, the next strongest characters are all of the awakened characters. If you don't believe me, ask people who have the awakened characters with their skills maxed out. They are heavy hitters and they are very, very strong. So why is it a problem that they introduced a new material, Cynicalex? Don't you want them to, diversify the game more and create more ways for some revenue on top of the fact that we have something new that we can farm for, so we have some incentive to play squad battle? Because you can't get these Mandalay gem fragments anywhere except for squad battle and, of course, Amex, Visa, and MasterCard. So isn't it important for them to do that? Yes, but no. Yes, but no, in the sense that they didn't actually create a new resource. What they did was they took the existing resource of Awakening Crystals and they split it into two. Because originally we used existing materials, we used tier 3 materials, Dimension, Essence of Dimension, Titan Component Packs, CCF, and Awakening Crystals to get a character's awakened skill. And then after that, you would use Black Antimatter, Chaos Stones, and Awakening Crystals to level up the skill. So they combined regular tier 2 materials and regular tier 3 materials and one new resource, Awakening Crystal. But the devs realized, or whoever's trying to make money at the game, the manager of the devs, the netmarble manager, realized that they could make more money and they could screw us harder and faster by splitting Awakening Crystals into two items. So now instead of just Awakening Crystals, you have Awakening Crystals and Mandalay gem fragments. And this is a problem because you need 1,000 gem fragments, 1,000 of these suckers, on top of, I think, 500 or 750 of these suckers, and you need 350 CCF to awaken a character's skill. Once the skill has been awakened, then you have the regular cost, but that's not really the point. So I'll give you an example here, because on my main account, I do have quite a few of these characters. Where is Sunbird? I am the most blind player next to Cage in Marvel Future Fight. Okay, maybe I can't. Okay. Perfect. There you go. So this is what they did. And this might seem like a good idea if we could get a lot more Mandalay gem fragments, but we can't. So that is one of the easiest ways that they can fix this problem, is by giving us like double or quadruple, 2 or 4 times, 3 or 4 times, triple or quadruple, 3 or 4 times more Mandalay gem fragments from squad battle. Or maybe, crazy idea, improve the squad battle Mandalay gem fragments and also let them drop in one other game mode, like Giant Boss Raid. The problem here is they've taken out the other tier 3 materials, which is fine. That helps in a very small way to allow us to get other characters to gear 25. But what they've essentially done is they've created a second bottleneck on top of Awakening Crystals. And they've created a situation where you're going to end up like this eventually, where you'll have way too much of 2 and not enough of the last one. So what that does is that puts you in your desperation mode. You can sit here and calculate it's going to take me, a month to get enough Mandalay gem fragments, but that bottleneck is always going to be there. Not only is the bottleneck always going to be there, but there's always going to be that imbalance because they introduced this resource 2 updates after introducing awakening skills. That's what's really, really greedy, right? You don't introduce a new mechanic into your game, and then 2 months later you decide to change the resources that players have been farming for to use that mechanic. That's insanely, insanely dirty. That's like, let me give you an example. Let me sell you a brand new car. This car runs on electricity, okay? And you can buy this car for $1,000. So you buy the car, and then 1 year later I say, psych, I just pressed a button and all of those cars no longer run on electricity. Now they run on half electricity and half of my farts. So now you have to come to me with a jar and you have to collect my farts, and it's $500 a fart. See what I mean? So now you have 2 choices. You come and do the dumb thing that I just said and pay me money, or you trash your car, or you don't use your car. So that's basically what players are left with in this situation. All new characters that are going to come out in the next update or the next update, you can start saving Mandalay gem fragments. By the way, you're still not going to be able to farm enough of them for free to ever get a character awakened in 1 month. So don't even dream about that. You're fucked there. But for all of the past characters, if you didn't awaken them already, like my Sunbird, you're shit out of luck. Because all that farming you've been doing is only relevant for 66% of what you need. You need Cosmic Cube Fragments. Oh, I've got those, sir. You need Awakening Crystals. Oh, I've got those. Oh, you need this brand new item that we just made up. Oh, I don't have those. Where can I get those? Oh, you can get a really pathetic amount of them here once a week. Oh, okay, but that's not enough. I did the math. It's going to take me like 2 months, and you guys put out an update every month. I mean, if you really want the character, there's a really easy thing you can do. Just go over here and just throw money at us. Just throw money at us. Yeah, what a coincidence. We just happened to put 250 fragments here. So you only need to purchase this 4 times. You only need to pay $160 Canadian, right? And here's the kicker. They still put Awakening Crystals and Cosmic Cube Fragments here, even though they know that we don't need Cosmic Cube Fragments and we don't need Awakening Crystals because we have a surplus of those. So the value of this Awakening pack is absolute, say it with me now, this is the netmarble stamp of approval, this is absolute dog shit. This is only good for brand new players who don't have any of these resources. I have almost 5,000 Cosmic Cube Fragments. Maybe you don't, but maybe you have 3,000 Awakening Crystals. So you don't need any more fucking Awakening Crystals. You only need the Gem Fragments. Guess what? There's no sales for just the Gem Fragments. There's no $10 pack that gives you just 500 Mandalay Gem Fragments. I would be totally fine with that, you know? Because that would be at least a way to, you know, balance out your stocks. But they're doing this shit on purpose to milk the players as hard as possible. And it's so blatantly obvious. There's so many easy examples that for things that they could have done instead of this bullshittery. I'll give you a really easy example. Okay, ready? How am I smarter and less greedy? Well, I guess I know why, but listen, here we go. What was the update, guys? I'll give you 5 seconds for those of you at home that were maybe washing your hands or you weren't listening. What was the latest update? What was the theme of the latest update, generally speaking? Oh, that's right, Trebek. It was mutants. Huh. Has Marvel Future Fight ever introduced materials that were only for mutants? I wondered. Man, I don't know. I don't think they have. Wait. What's this? Materials specifically for mutants? Oh no. Maybe they could have kept that trend and Mandalay gem fragments could have been only for Mystique. Huh. Isn't that crazy? Because, you know, the Warriors of the Sky, and last time I checked in the comics anyways, Red Skull and Dr. Octopus are not mutants. Huh. So they could have just said, hey guys, the first 6 characters that we introduced that had awakening skills use the awakening crystals. We want to make a little bit more money. We want to, you know, diversify the game a little bit more. There's not really enough farmable materials that are high level and high importance and high value. So we're going to introduce a new material like we did for Phoenix Feathers, like we did for Emkron Crystals, just for mutants. Only for mutants. Okay? So I know you guys are going to start from the bottom grinding these materials up, but you only need to worry about getting these materials for Mystique, so it's not going to completely deplete your wallets. That would have been the sane decision. That would have been the fair decision, the decision that walks the line between good value for the customer, us, and good value for the business, them. Instead, they decided, you know what? Oh, we're going to be real smart here. Players are complaining that they don't have enough tier 3 components. Why don't we just take those components out of the original Awakening, even though they weren't having a meaningful impact on players' ability to farm? You know, it wasn't really killing players to have to use 250 of these for Awakening. And instead, we'll introduce this new resource, and we will now make it the most expensive and require the most number of them for all Awakening. We will retroactively, by the way, in case you guys didn't notice, they retroactively changed all existing characters who had Awakening skills to now require this stupid fragment. And not just require it, require 3 times as much of it as anything else. Think about that. They literally said, okay guys, 2 months ago we introduced Awakening crystals. We're not really selling enough of those. So now we're going to ask for Awakening crystals part 2, the reawakening. And alongside with the regular Awakening crystals, but instead of asking for 350 of those, we're going to ask for 1,000 of those because we just weren't greedy enough the first time. So now we're fixing our greed. So you know what Netmarble's really good at doing? They're really good at being greedier. Taking their amount of greed that they've established and somehow expanding on that and making it bigger and even more greedy. They can't fix Alliance Battle Extreme rewards. They can't give us a retry button. They can't give us multiple obelisk slots. They can't fix any of the other quality of life changes in the game, like inventory space and, you know, endlessly re-rolling for ISO 8 sets and Uru amplification, which just completely just sucks all the fun out of the game. They can't do any of that stuff, guys. Okay, they can't fix Alliance Conquest. They can't fix Timeline Battle. They can't find new ways to give players crystals. But you know what they can do? They can charge more for uniforms. They can introduce multiple uniforms for the same character within the span of 6 months because they're greedy as hell. They can do crazy shit like ask money for multiple uniforms for the first time ever for Deadpool and Gwenpool. They can change materials on us. You know what we're going to probably get for the 5-year anniversary, guys? We're going to get a red CCF, guys. We're going to get Super CCF. And this Super CCF is required now, from now on, to tier 3 all native tier 2 characters, because you know what, guys, you're getting 1600 CCF for Apocalypse and Thanos and Jean Grey. You're getting that shit too fast, and it's not allowing us to make enough money on this game that we barely actually make content for. Okay, all we're doing is making Barbies and coming up with new ways to bend you over and Andy Dufresne you in the laundry room. So CCF, red CCF, guys, it's the hot new thing. You got to get it. We're going to give you 1 red CCF per day for every time you play the story mode. Okay? Yeah. So in total, if you play the story mode completely, you can get 20 red CCF per day. And you're going to need 5,000 of those to tier 3, the next native tier 2. Oh, by the way, the next update, we're going to native tier 2 Doctor Doom and Strife, and we're going to make them the most powerful characters in the game. Okay, guys. Keep playing Marvel Future Fight. All right, thanks. So it's really upsetting. It's honestly really upsetting. They had a very obvious, very thematic way of using Mandalay gem fragments. And instead of sticking with that, instead of doing something that's fair, and instead of doing something that's fun for everyone, that's more of a Marvel thing to do, they decided to do what's the netmarble thing to do and just try to scam us and rip us off for the most money possible. So it's actually really disgusting. It really pisses me off. And the biggest joke ever is when you go to the game guide, which is obviously full of exciting, interesting things and is definitely not out of date and missing like a ton of definitions. And you go over to the item glossary and you scroll down to the bottom and you actually read the difference between Mandalay gem fragments and Awakening crystals. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And then the point is, use Awakening crystals to awaken a character's potential. Use Mandalay gem fragments to awaken characters' potential. It's the exact same effing thing. They're just trying to rip us off. So yeah, in case any bootlickers ask you what's wrong with this update and why anyone is upset with this update because it's just so good and there's nothing wrong with it, and oh my god, I'm so happy that Mystique's got big juicy boobs, just point them to this video and say, hey man, take 5 minutes or 15 minutes, this video's long as hell, take 15 minutes, watch, and find out why this update might be one of the worst ever for the game. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.